Today is May 7th, 2024, and Apple just wrapped up their Let Loose event, which was all about iPads, completely iPad focused. And actually, as far as I'm concerned, the iPad did not receive a single update last year in 2023. So this event was not only long overdue, but it's also a big deal. Let's talk about it. Okay, so as always, we're going to go through apple.com together. By the way, I guess I should introduce myself if this is your first time here. My name is David DeFranco. I am a longtime Mac user. I got my first Mac, a 17-inch PowerBook G4, back on September 21st, 2004. Yes, I know that date. I don't know if it's impressive or just downright sad. I'll go with both. But yeah, guys, I'm a proud Apple fanboy. I love my MacBook Pro. I use it every single day. I do have an iPad Pro, which I use very, very casually these days. So today's announcements weren't a big deal to me, but from the perspective of someone interested in buying a new iPad Pro or iPad Air, today's announcements are a big deal. And like I said, long overdue. So we have a lot to talk about. So let's get started. So starting out, let's go to the iPad, just the iPad. This did not receive any kind of hardware or software changes as far as I'm concerned. However, Apple did announce that the iPad now starts at $349. So for whatever reason, since the iPad's debut in what, 2010? 2010, yes. If for whatever reason you've gone from 2010 all the way up until 2024 and you have not owned an iPad yet, maybe, just maybe, look into the regular iPad for $349. And actually, based on this pricing, yeah, I mean, there's a good chance you could get this exact model on eBay for about $300, maybe even less. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing to say today about the iPad except for the price change. But hey, guys, $349, that's an excellent starting price. Okay, let's go to the iPad Air. iPad Air, much like the MacBook Air, is extremely popular because it's kind of like the middle ground. It gives you enough power to appreciate the iPad's performance, but at the same time, it doesn't give you enough like the iPad Pro does because, well, you're not willing to spend over $1,000 on an iPad. So for the average consumer, the iPad Air is more than enough. For me, not so much. I actually have an unboxing video, which I'll link right below. Let's just say I opened up the iPad Air and pretty much immediately put it back in the box as soon as I realized the 60 Hz display is unusable for me. 60 Hz on a laptop or desktop display, yeah, I could get by. I don't prefer it, but it's good enough. But guys, I'm telling you, using 60 Hz with your finger is just absolutely disgusting. So I would never, ever recommend buying an iPad Air if you're like me, if you're obsessed with specs and that 120 Hz refresh rate. Like, it's absolutely incredible. Once you go 120, it's really hard to go back to 60, at least on a touchscreen display. But for most people, you probably don't care, and this is where the iPad Air comes in. So it starts at $599, which I think is a fair price, and we have two sizes this year. We have, I think, 11-inch and 13-inch. So here we go, the 11-inch model. And Apple does such a good job with their website. Look at this. It's just downright beautiful. And for the first time ever, a 13-inch iPad Air. Now, I got to be honest. Months ago, when the rumors started to roll, you know, saying, yeah, we're going to get a 13-inch iPad Air, I'm like, why? Why do people need a 13-inch iPad Air? But then I got thinking, I'm like, maybe Apple is slowly transitioning MacBook users into iPad Air users. So if you want that laptop-like experience on an iPad Air in conjunction with one of the iPad Air accessories, whether it's first party or third party, I think the 13-inch iPad Air is absolutely perfect for that, especially if you're doing artwork, Zoom calls, or you just want to web browse. 13-inch is kind of the sweet spot for display sizes, so I can definitely see where Apple is going with this. However, what I really want to see is a convergence of iPadOS and macOS. But that's not going to happen for a very long time because it wouldn't make sense for Apple's business model. They want to sell iPads and they want to sell MacBooks. I completely understand. But if you are looking for a larger size and you don't care about that 60 Hz display, then 13-inch iPad Air is going to be absolutely perfect for you. I mean, guys, it's a beautiful tablet. Like, this is the sweet spot for most people. Again, it's not for me, but there's a very, very good chance it's for you. Okay, so let's see what else we have here. So the iPad Air is powered by M2. Guys, honestly, my M1 iPad Pro does more than enough. But hey, M2, there's nothing wrong with that. An incredibly fast M2 chip brings breakout performance, nearly 50% faster than previous generation. But again, even then, there's nothing wrong with M1. So if you're looking to save money and you don't necessarily need a 13-inch display size, go with an M1 iPad. Guys, there's nothing wrong with it. It'll work just fine. I think the main selling point here with the iPad Air this year is the 13-inch form factor and a landscape camera. It does bother me that it's not perfectly centered with this, the Apple Pencil charger, but I can only assume that's because we've got some Face ID sensors and all that stuff. So it is what it is. And plus, how often are you going to be looking at that in combination with the camera lens? Anyway, iPad Air does work with the Apple Pencil Pro. We'll talk about the Apple Pencil Pro in detail later on. Magic Keyboard. It's that famous Apple floating design, which I'm a huge fan of. It's not necessarily that user-friendly, in my opinion, on your lap. It's usable. Yeah, I mean, I've gotten away with it on my iPad Pro in the past, but it's kind of that always like awkward, wobbling form factor that you have to deal with. So if you do go with this keyboard, I recommend using it primarily on a desktop surface, like an actual desk, a countertop, wherever. Maybe even the floor. I don't know. And then the camera, here we go. So we've got landscape, 12 megapixel. Wait, this does support Face ID, right? Actually, hold on. I have to make one quick correction. The iPad Air still does not have Face ID. Why? That's so weird. I didn't even think about that because I just assumed it had Face ID. See, guys, I don't really know much about the iPad Air. So why is this off center? I mean, yeah, we've got some sensors back there, but I feel like if the camera is off-center from the Apple Pencil charger, then there should be some kind of Face ID stuff happening in the background, right? So Apple, why is this off-center? Ooh, that actually bothers me quite a bit. That bothers me quite a bit. That's not very Apple of you. Which means the camera is not perfectly centered with the iPad, because obviously the Apple Pencil charger is centered with the iPad. That bothers me. Huh. That really, really bothers me. And I hope the iPad Pro has a centered camera. Anyway, guys, the iPad Air is fine for most people. It's not for me. So let's go to the star of the show, and that is the all-new iPad Pro. We've been hearing about this for at least 2 years now. Not only is it the thinnest Apple product ever, I think it's thinner than one of the iPod Nanos that they mentioned. Thin possible. Apple is so good with their marketing, but it's also OLED, and it's the fastest iPad Pro ever. Obviously, it always is. Also, worth mentioning is it's the first ever M4 Apple product. Yes, the M4 chip is official, so check it out. It's somewhere around here. Come on, come on. Where is it? There it is, M4 rocket chip. Apple in the marketing, just absolutely genius. Up to 4 times faster than the M2, which, I'll say it again, the M2, M1. Guys, don't be fooled by Apple's marketing. Yeah, it's obviously a fast chip, but take my advice. The M1 chip is still plenty fast for most people. Okay, so the only way I would recommend going with this iPad Pro is if you absolutely need OLED. And guys, let me tell you, once you go OLED, it is really, really difficult to go back. OLED will give you the absolute richest blacks possible, and it's just incredible. Now, the previous iPad Pro 12.9-inch model always looked incredible, thanks to the mini LED iPad Pro. Check it out. But this is only available on the 12.9-inch model. And even then, it looked really, really good. But for the first time ever, not only do we get OLED, but Apple's actually giving us OLED on both the 11-inch and 13-inch model. That in itself is huge, because anytime Apple introduces some kind of new display technology or some kind of pro feature, they typically make it exclusive to the larger model. But again, for the first time ever, it's available on both the 11-inch and 13-inch model. Oh, and by the way, it's no longer 12.9-inch. We are now working with a 13-inch model. And again, look at this, the thinnest product Apple has ever created. I'm actually really kind of happy that Apple's focusing on thin again. I like when Apple doesn't focus on thin, you know, when it comes to the MacBook Pros, because that typically means we get more features back. We get I/O that we missed in the past and all that stuff. But when it comes to the iPad Pro, I truly do think it needs to be thinner than ever because it's something your hand holding. A MacBook Pro is sitting on your lap. It's not a big deal. But when you're holding a device, you want it to be as light and thin as humanly possible. And I'm really, really glad Apple's once again focusing on thin, at least for their iPad Pro lineup. All right, so we get 1000 nits full screen brightness, 1600 nits peak brightness for HDR content. HDR is incredible. ProMotion, there it is, baby, 120 hertz, True Tone, P3 wide color gamut. And of course, it's good for gaming. Apple's always good with their gaming marketing. I mean, honestly, guys, I'm not a big gamer when it comes to mobile gaming. I'm more of a PC and console gamer. But yeah, there you go, guys. Oh, and finally, we get a new keyboard. We get a new keyboard with function rows. Apple, this should have been here from the beginning. And I'm an Apple fanboy. I will be honest with you guys. There's no excuse for this not to be here from the beginning, but I'm glad we finally have it. And apparently, the new keyboard has a haptic trackpad like we get on the MacBook Pro. Yeah, check it out. So, in theory, you can click anywhere, and the click should feel the same, I'm pretty sure. Navigate large spreadsheets, blah, blah, blah. Haptic feedback. Yeah, so it's not like that diving board mechanism. So instead, it actually feels like you're using a MacBook Air or MacBook Pro, which is huge. I'm a big fan of the trackpad on my MacBook Pro. It is one of my favorite things Apple has ever invented. Seriously. Once you go from an Apple notebook back to a cheap Windows laptop, it's night and day. For instance, last night I was using my mom's Surface Pro or Surface, I don't know, whatever it is. It's Surface. It honestly doesn't matter what it is because it's Windows. But the trackpad felt like shit. Sorry, for the lack of a better word. It felt horrible. I kept right-clicking by accident, and it just felt so cheaply made. So when Apple introduces something new, trust me, they're going to do a good job, and I'm sure it's going to perform just fine on the new iPad Pro Magic Keyboard. And now, let's talk about the Apple Pencil Pro. Now, first of all, I gotta say, the Apple Pencil Pro, I wish it was black. You know, something to make it look different from the typical Apple Pencil. But I will say, it looks incredible. First of all, it starts at $129. And by starts at, I mean, it just sells for $129. That's insane. Honestly, I feel like Apple could have gotten away with $149 or even, dare I say, $199. But Apple is pretty much giving this thing away at $129 with all the different technology it has. So we have that new rumored squeeze gesture, which will give you more, I think the word is contextual. So basically think of it as a right click. You're going to get contextual options per app, whatever you're using, like such as Apple Notes or Procreate. And this is compatible with the M2 iPad Air 13-inch, M4, iPad Pro, and obviously the M4 13-inch. In other words, it's not compatible with my iPad Pro, which sucks. And that's okay. No, the iPad Pro doesn't suck. It just sucks that I can't really use this Apple Pencil, but it is what it is, guys. Honestly, I rarely use my Apple Pencil as it is. I consider myself pretty creative when it comes to like vlogging and website design and all that stuff. But when it comes to the iPad Pro and Apple Pencil, I'm a severe amateur. I don't know what I'm doing half the time, which is why I'm very happy to say this. I will not be buying the new iPad Pro. I will not be buying the Apple Pencil. And guys, believe me, these products look amazing. They look absolutely incredible. Professionals are going to love everything that they offer, but they're not for me because I know I would buy the iPad Pro, then I would sell it like 6 months later because it just sits around collecting dust. And guys, that's why I proudly bought a refurbished M1 iPad Pro. It's sitting in my bed right now. That's how casual I am with it. It's more just for email, YouTube, all that stuff. But for people who need these tools, absolutely consider buying yourself this new model of the iPad Pro and or the Apple Pencil. You get squeeze, you get barrel roll, which is really cool. So you kind of like turn the pencil and it'll react differently, which is really cool. And haptic feedback. That is cool. For the first time ever, the Apple Pencil actually has a haptic engine. I think that's incredible. I'm a big haptics kind of guy. I just love vibration. For instance, going back to the days of Star Fox 64, which is the first game ever to include the Rumble Pack for the Nintendo 64 controller. Ever since then, I've just been obsessed with Rumble technology, haptic feedback, etc. Apple Pencil Hover, and of course, we still have Double Tap. So overall, guys, I gotta say, see, hold on, look at this. Apple Pencil 2nd generation, $129. Apple Pencil Pro, $129. That's so interesting. Why are they not charging more for the Pro? Huh. I don't know, guys. This is a good deal. I mean, if you're artsy or creative, I recommend giving this a try because this could once again be an absolute game changer for iPad artists. So there you have it, my very rough first impressions of the new iPad Air, iPad Pro, and the all-new Apple Pencil Pro. In my opinion, overall, an extremely solid event. Now, fortunately, we did get some surprises despite the rumors. Like the Apple Pencil Pro, I wasn't sure about that. But the fact that we have haptic engine, which is something I did not predict, and barrel roll and all that stuff, that's awesome. Gesture was predicted. The M4 chip on the iPad Pro, that was kind of half predicted by some people over here, some people over there. Me personally, I just thought they were going to stick with M3. So the fact that Apple is focusing on M4 with the iPad Pro, I think that's huge. And again, the iPad Air, if you're looking for a great deal, check it out. But of course, at the end of the day, I mean, if you don't care about most things I said today, why not treat yourself to the original iPad, you know, just a regular iPad, starting at $349. That's a great deal. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on today's announcement? Overall, again, I'll say it one more time. Solid event. Solid event, and I'm so excited to see what Apple has in store for Dub 2024, because I'm very interested to see what they talk about in regards to the Apple Vision Pro, despite the very slow sales and the fact that you can already get a like-new iPad Pro, Apple Vision Pro on eBay for about $1,000 off average price. So guys, I'm just saying, if you're not interested in paying $3,500 for the Apple Vision Pro, check out eBay. You can get it for about $2,500 like new, which is a great deal. Anyway, I'm done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Again, let me know what you think right below, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.